I can tell you right now, Alex, the way you can tell your agency doesn't have your best interests at heart is if they're not willing to
join us for Impact Live 2024 in Hartford, Connecticut this October 14th through the 16th. Over 3 days, business owners, CEOs, and marketing and sales leaders will learn proven strategies to drive business growth. Attend expert-led sessions on marketing, sales, leadership, and AI, and get a chance to network with industry pros just like yourself. Discover how companies like yours are dominating their markets. Secure your spot at impactplus.com/impact-5. And for all of our Endless Customers listeners, we have an exclusive discount code that'll save you $100. So when you're on the checkout page, just enter the code ECPOD100 in all caps for $100 off. And now through July 31st, we have our early bird special as well, which you get $200 off. So get in there before it's too late. We'll see you there at Impact Live 2024 up in Hartford, October 14th through the 16th. Welcome back to Endless Customers. My name is Alex Winter, and today we are joined by Marcus Sheridan, keynote speaker, author, partner here at Impact. Welcome back to the show.
Here we go.
All right, so we have a great topic today, and this is something we hear and we see a lot at Impact through our experiences with clients where there's a lot of angst, there's a lot of maybe fear or worries about being held by an agency or being beholden to an agency that they hired and they're not loving what they're being delivered, or they want to make a change and they're in a contract that's an annual or biannual or whatever the case is. What can business owners do, and what should they be thinking about in a situation like that?
This is a really, really important topic, right? Because it can completely change your trajectory as a business. As I have taken this journey of being in sales, being in marketing, having what was a traditional agency and now being a coaching company, we've seen the whole gamut. There's really two types of agencies. And I know there's more than this, but there's two, at its core,
General.
There's two types of agencies.
Sure.
The first type has your best interest at heart. The second type has their best interest at heart. So let me give you a sense for how you know which one you're dealing with.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of things with agencies that frankly make me very upset. Get me fired up, Alex.
Okay.
If your agency is not allowing you to see your campaigns, they're not a good agency. If your agency isn't allowing you to go into your website as you need to, if they never teach you how to go into your website, if they say they're the only ones that can go into your website, they don't have your best interests at heart. Yeah. Imagine owning some type of retail store like a grocery store. You're the owner. You walk in and you see some cans have fallen off the shelf, but you can't pick them up. You literally have to call someone and they can pick it up, but you can't because you don't know how to pick it up. That's what's happening. And it sounds like no way. Yes, way. I see it. I've seen very up close, as a matter of fact. If your agency is doing SEO for you, but they don't show you how they're doing that SEO for you. If they're just giving you a report that's telling you, oh, we're staying in front of that Google algorithm, but not being specific, they're probably holding you hostage. And they're taking advantage of your ignorance of the situation. See, a lot of situations where folks are being taken advantage of, right?
Do you think just quickly, do you think that's because there's a lack of understanding? So obviously if you're a business and you specialize in X industry, you're not a marketing professional. So
sure,
you hire the company and you just assume and hope that they're going to do the right thing.
Well, we got in the game as business owners, many of us, not knowing that we were going to have to be technologists, not knowing that we were going to have to be, like web builders and all these things. But that's what happened along the way.
Right.
Is it became that. Mm-hmm. And that's why there's just a lot of ignorance. It's the same reason why there's a prolific problem in the U.S. of small business embezzlements from bookkeepers. Bookkeeper works for someone, and that someone doesn't really understand accounting. They, implicitly trust their bookkeeper, and that person just robs them blind. And it's a huge, huge issue.
Yeah. And this is something that you're speaking from experience.
Oh yeah, it happened to me early on.
It's happened to me before too.
Yeah, this is and as soon as it happens to you, and if you talk about it, suddenly 10 other businesses say, "Oh, I had an embezzlement issue too."
Yeah,
it happens because the person really didn't understand financing in this case, or accounting. Well, the same thing is happening with marketing, and sadly, a lot of these companies. And I'm going to be strong with this. These agencies, sometimes they're an SEO agency. Sometimes they're just a full suite agency. They are embezzling from their clients because they're holding them hostage. They're not giving them the secret sauce. They're not even letting them in the kitchen in any way, shape, or form.
Right. They're keeping it very close.
Yeah. This is why you've got that whole mindset, and I've talked about it for years of you've got the agencies that teach you how to fish, and then you have those agencies that give you a fish. Now, the ones that teach you how to fish, they're few and far between.
Yeah.
Because if you know how to fish, you might not need that agency forever. But that's how you might change the world, knowing how to catch your own fish. Mm-hmm. But then you've got that agency that gives you a fish, but they don't tell you where the fish came from. They don't even tell you how they got the fish. And if you ask, they're going to say, well, it's proprietary. And that is something I can't stand. And I just don't have any patience for it today. It's no different than there's a lot of agencies today that are using AI, but they don't tell their clients they're using AI. And so what was taking, let's say 5 people to work on an account before, and the client was paying for essentially 5 people and the man hours that came with them. Now they've got 2 people on their account, way less man hours, but they don't know the difference. Again, they don't know the difference.
And they're probably still paying for the 5 people.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. Or paying price increases. Mm-hmm. It's pretty sad. It's pretty unfortunate. So there's a whole lot of examples. If your agency is not teaching you the fundamentals of SEO, but they're doing SEO, bad agency. If the agency isn't trying to give you as much access as possible to the website without blowing it up, I understand, bad agency. No bueno.
No bueno.
If the agency is telling you you can't do that, and you inherently feel like you can and should be doing it.
Especially when you're paying for it.
Yes. Bad agency.
Bad.
If you're using HubSpot and you can barely log in, you don't understand to use it, and they're the ones that know everything about it, bad agency. And shame on you for letting that happen. Because you need to know how to learn the tool. If you got to call your agency to get a dang report, what is wrong with you? If you're using the tool like a HubSpot, you can get in, do it.
Right.
We had a situation recently where we took on a client, and as soon as the other agency heard they were even thinking about doing They Ask You Answer, the agency goes in self-preservation mode.
Okay.
And just starts to say, oh, this won't work. Oh, you're not capable of that.
Gaslighting.
Oh, yeah. Completely. Mm-hmm. And then the worst part is, with this particular agency, they were doing a lot of paid campaigns. And they thought, is this faucet going to immediately turn off? Are we going to have access to these paid campaigns? Are we still going to be able to do it? It's like, they didn't know.
Yeah.
They literally did not know they are being held hostage.
Wow.
How
scary.
Gets my blood boiling.
Yeah.
It's such a problem. So,
and a disclaimer, you said it earlier, but just to reiterate, there are good agencies and there are bad agencies.
Yeah.
And this is what the bad agencies do.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is not all agencies, but.
No. And there's some good agencies out there. Now, I think the best ones are still trying to teach you to fish to some degree. They might not teach you like an Impact does. I mean, Impact is like, we're going to teach you everything about fishing.
Yeah.
So that you could be maybe one of the best fishing teams in the world. We're going to make you a media company. Now, that I don't expect every agency to do that. Mm-hmm. But they should never hold the client hostage. And that's what I see. Sometimes you see them holding them hostage with payment terms too. Yes. That gets me fired up.
Yeah. That's usually the age-old trick that they get you is like, I need you to sign this annual contract.
Yeah. And then you can't get out of it.
Right.
I think that is really screwed up.
Yeah.
And so this is one of the things I'm proud of at Impact. It's like we tell them, you got to give us a certain notice. I think it's like, I don't know, it's like 30 some days or something like that. Because if they're not getting value, we want them to be able to have the agency to move on and to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
But when I see that situation where you've got this person and it's clearly not working with this agency and they know they need to be taking certain things in-house and they know they need to be doing their own video, but they're blowing all their budget on this agency and they're like, I am stuck. Man, that's a terrible, terrible place to be. If you buy a car, you can at least sell the car and buy a new car. Do you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
When it comes to oftentimes working with agencies, they don't let you out. And I tell you, I don't have respect for that.
I don't either.
I don't. If the agency is so worried that you're going to leave them, that they have to lock you in for 12 months, and I could argue the same for software companies, then they just need to up their game in terms of their product or their service. Right. If someone's leaving us after 3 months at Impact, well, shame on us. Something failed in the sales process in terms of communication, or something failed in terms of the relationship and the delivery that we're having with that client.
Yeah. But it's really about leverage. And if you're beholden to this, you don't have any leverage. The agency does. And that's what the agency wants because that keeps them in control. And as a business owner, any business owner I've ever met or any CEO or anybody that really is trying to scale their businesses, they want control. They don't want to be held hostage by anybody or anything.
That's the reason they got in business, Alex.
Right.
Is they said, I want to dictate my future. I want to control my destiny.
Totally.
Right? And then the thing fell off the shelf and they couldn't pick it up. That's not controlling your destiny.
Right.
And I know it's a strong analogy. That's how it's happening. Mm-hmm. Someone sees a typo on your website and you got to call your agency. They won't let you even go in and change it.
You have to submit a ticket and you have to get the on the calendar.
That's a crime against humanity right there.
It's so bad. It is. And it takes time. And ultimately, you need to move fast. The way that technology is these days, the faster you can go, the better. And to have to wait, it could slow you down.
You have to decide, be really honest with yourself. Do I want to control my future as a business owner, as a marketer, as a team? Do I want to be beholden, be dependent on another entity for all my success? Mm-hmm. This is why I continue to say that if you're going to be outrageously successful in the coming years, you have to think like a media company. You need to become a media company. You need to be able to not only hold the paintbrush, but work the canvas with it and create that masterpiece. You can't pay someone to create your masterpiece. It doesn't tend to work.
Yeah, so true.
Can you imagine if Michelangelo had been just, having this person next to him and he was saying, okay, now do this, now do that. No. And it doesn't even work like that in the agency world, usually. You got Michelangelo, who doesn't know he could be Michelangelo, he's like, yeah, I think I might be able to do this. He's a genius. He doesn't really know it. But you got some other dope, maybe some, art teacher or something like that that's like, I got this. You just keep paying me, and I will create the art. You see what I'm saying?
Totally. That's a great analogy. Yeah.
Again, there's some really great agencies out there. What I see, though, just as a broader point to this conversation, is where agencies tend to thrive the most is with very specific services or campaigns. Now, that you still should have full access. But like if somebody said to me, Marcus, should I learn to be great with like social media advertising, paid advertising, Google ads, things like that? Should I learn that or should I outsource it? Oftentimes I'll say, you should probably outsource it, but you still have the ability to get in, see it. You have control, but you should probably outsource that skill because it might take you too long to learn to do it yourself. And if it's a fair deal, I would probably outsource that.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
No, that's a good point. Is like, and I was going to ask you that is like for business owners, where do you find the balance of like, God, I have to learn all these different things that I'm not really a specialist in. So like, and to your point, like how do you find
where
that?
you should be generally, you should be producing the very high majority of your own content. Mm-hmm. You should not be outsourcing that. And I'm talking about, when I say should, I'm talking about if you want to become like the leader of your space, the most trusted voice in your market. That's the reference point here, right?
Especially if you want to disrupt. That's a big piece.
If you want to turn your industry on its head.
Yeah.
Your agency ain't going to turn the industry on its head. I've never seen that happen, never have, and I don't believe we ever will, because they don't want to ruffle any feathers because they're more worried about making sure they continue to collect your check each month.
Right. And there are agencies that specialize in certain industries. Like we only work with lawyers and legal companies. We only work with construction and like those exist and have existed for many years now. So there's that too, where they get stuck in their lane and then you're not disrupting anything. You're going to be like every other business that works with that agency.
Yeah. And, again, there's decent ones out there, but I would use an agency for skills that I probably could not learn. For another example is you should use an agency most of the time, especially if you're like a small to medium-sized business, for your website design, build stuff, right?
Right.
Generally, that's going to be agency work. That being said, you should be able to go in there and cross your T's and dot your I's and make basic changes to your website without picking up a phone. Like the two should be able to coexist, right? And they can coexist. And hopefully, if you're listening to this right now, you understand the difference. Yeah. And so this is the type of thing where I mean, it's like you're not hostage at that point. But it's going to take you're not going to learn code. I'm not going to learn code if it's not been your thing. AI might help a little bit, but still it's like, that's probably not the thing that you should be spending your time on.
Right.
But again, going back to content production, you should be able to do that. You should be able to use a tool like a HubSpot for the most part yourself. You should be able to do just a lot of the general, social media, yourself versus outsourcing that to somebody else. Those things you should be able to do.
How about when we talk about vetting? So if you decide you do need an agency, you need to redesign your website to your point, or you want to build a website and you need specialists, how do you vet them so that you know that they're going to give you access, they're not going to hold you hostage?
Yeah, so similar to what we've talked about, I want to know what the contract terms are first. Like that's just like, let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Are you going to try to lock me in for 12 months no matter what? Okay. So that's the first thing I'm thinking about. You got to protect yourself there. Second thing I'm going to talk to them about is, what specifically are you going to teach me and show me?
Okay.
Again, if you're working with an SEO company and they're going to show and teach you nothing, because the answer should be, well, how much do you want to learn? Because we want to show you as much as you want to learn.
Right. And if they don't ask that and they don't want to do that, that should be a red flag.
It should be a major red flag.
Yeah.
If they give you some stupid response like, our clients, they don't want to worry about those things. Like, get out of there. Just like run away.
Yeah.
If they try to make you feel silly for even asking the question, get out of there.
Yeah.
Get out of there. Don't play that game. So I would say those are the two main things. Mm-hmm. Obviously you can ask them, so how long is your average relationship, with a client? What are we realistically? What can we expect? I mean, somebody asked me this yesterday. I said, well, that's evolving for us. Our average client is going to be with us 18 months on their first agreement. But then what happens is, assuming we're still providing them value, especially now with AI and the rate of change happening in the market, our job is to keep them ahead of that rate of change.
Right.
And so we're probably going to stay client. We're still probably going to have a relationship. It's probably going to be less than what it was, but you're probably going to say, I want your continued support and guidance in these areas. Mm-hmm. And that's like a good, healthy conversation.
Right.
So they have a general time frame of like, how long is this main first agreement probably going to last, like the relationship, and what could it look like afterwards? Knowing that, hey, if we're not providing each other value, if you don't feel good about me and I don't feel good about you, well, then we're going to shake hands and we're going to go our separate ways.
Cancel at any time.
Yeah.
That gives you control.
It gives you control. Mm-hmm. To your point, nobody's over leveraged here.
Totally.
And you have the ability. I would say this is more important than it's ever been, Alex, because the rate of change is faster than it's ever been. Mm-hmm. And things are happening so quickly right now that, we could come out with a tool. Imagine if you were like paying an agency to produce content for you. I'm just being very hypothetical right now.
Okay.
And they came out with an AI tool that as soon as you started using, you're like, this not only can this write way better than the content I'm getting from my agency right now, but it's faster. I can do it. It's life-changing. And
it costs me $20 a month.
Yeah, it costs me $20 a month.
Yeah.
And you can't get out of that contract. Oh my goodness. So you have to be very, very careful right now about how long you're committing to something, because it can change. It's no different than if you're like committing to an AI software tool right now. You better be really careful. I would only be going month to month. I approached one of these major AI tools recently about running sales calls at my swimming pool company.
Okay.
And one of my business partners talked with them and was like totally into it. And it's like, it's going to be $50,000 a month, Marcus. And I'm like, not a month, a year. And I was like, $50,000 a year. It's not a ton of money, but here's the problem. They could be replaced in 3 months by somebody that's much better.
Yeah.
So they wanted a $50,000 a year commitment, and that technology might be like first grade level compared to somebody else that's like college level in 6 months.
Yeah.
Because of the rate of change.
It's
so
very
this
volatile.
is a bad deal. We're not going to do this deal right now. So a lot of companies are going to overcommit to AI tools because they're going to be shown something that seems really cool, really innovative, but somebody else is going to come out with something that's much, much better. That's why, like, for those that don't know, I've got an AI pricing calculator estimator that I developed.
Okay.
A company that I own. It's called PriceGuide.ai. And it's $67 a month if you want to sign up for the year. It's $97 a month if you want to do it month to month. And you don't pay anything for the first 2 months. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, you don't even give us a credit card information the first 2 months. I just want you to use the tool, and if it's generating leads, you're going to be like, I want to continue to do this. But I don't want to lock you in forever, and I don't want to hold you hostage. That sucks. Sucks for you, and I don't feel good about that.
But this just goes right back to the agency conversation we were just having. So insert AI, this new technology, but the same rules still apply.
Still apply.
Right.
Right. But there is going to be a whole lot of waste with agencies, a whole lot of waste with AI and AI tools in the coming years. So don't make those mistakes. Don't get over leveraged.
So I love everything you're saying. I think I'm bought in for sure. And I think a lot of our listeners and viewers hopefully are as well. They make the decision to, okay, maybe I want to really invest in the company and take this internally.
Yeah.
What does that look like? How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's magic when a company says we want to hold the paintbrush and we want to create the art that's on the canvas.
Taking the control back.
Yeah. It's very, very liberating. Now, it's not easy because what it means, it's a total shift in terms of just the way you think. You actually have to re-engage now. It's not lazy thinking anymore. You're becoming a media company. Part of the challenge is you're going to have to hire some people, at least one person, to own this for you. What this other company was doing in the past. So you're going to have to hire that company, or excuse me, you're going to have to hire that person. You're going to have to be patient with them learning your business, but also with the culture that comes with whenever there's content production, let's say, it means there needs to be subject matter experts. And subject matter experts get better over the course of time. So like you doing this podcast, for example, Alex, you're acting almost like a subject matter expert. You're hosting the show. You're much better today than you were when you first started. And that's how the circle of life works. I am better today than when I first started appearing on podcasts, right? And reps matter. Reps matter. Reps matter for your subject matter experts. Reps matter for your content producers, for your content manager, for whomever is doing anything for you. And so you got to learn to crawl before you walk. You got to learn to walk before you run. You're going to have that. So embrace the messy, embrace the clunky. Make sure you're not freaking out if it's not perfectly smooth. Now, what's very, very key though is that leadership has to be explicitly clear with the entire team that this is a big deal. This is who we are. This is why when we teach an organization the principles of They Ask You Answer, generally we go out and we do a workshop first. Like yesterday, I was with a company that's doing like $150 million in sales a year. And the first thing that they needed and they wanted, and I agreed, was we did a workshop with their leadership team. Because the bigger the company, we didn't have, like in this case, anybody except two of the sales leaders, head of HR, COO, it's like president, a couple VPs. That's all we had in the room. And the whole purpose was, do we agree that this is going to be our philosophy going forward? That we're going to become the WebMD of our space, that we're going to become the voice of trust in our market.
Right.
We're going to talk about, show, and sell in a way that nobody else in our industry does.
Yeah.
And they all had to agree to that first.
You need that buy-in.
Got to have the buy-in.
You need it.
Once you get that, well, then you can bring the rest in, right? And so we'll do another workshop. We're actually going to do another one. And then the next one we do, we're going to have all the subject matters experts that could be there. They're going to be there. We're going to explain to them the what, the how, and the why. They're going to understand how this initiative is going to affect the entire company, how it's going to affect the individual, right? So we don't want them to be ignorant of the thing. Once you've explained clearly the how and the what and the why, then you can make something just like a set thing. So for example, a lot of companies have resistance with CRMs. In fact, the company I was with yesterday said, man, Marcus, we had Salesforce for 8 years and didn't really start to get adoption until last year.
Wow.
Now, why is this? Well, they had explained the what, the how, and the why to the sales team, but it wasn't required. And guess what?
Yeah.
If you don't make the CRM required,
nobody's going to use it.
Part of the job description, they're probably not going to do it. No. At least a very high percentage are not going to do it.
That's an expensive tool as well
a very expensive tool
to be not using.
It's like the nicest gym in the world that's just sitting in your house and never gets used. Or it's a clothes hanger, right?
Totally.
And so you see that a lot with technology. You see that with software. You certainly see that with CRMs. You see it with HubSpot. And that's because they haven't taken the time to explain clearly the what, the how, and the why, to get the buy-in, to do the intensive training, reps, and also though say, this is who we are, it's what we're going to do, it's part of your job description, right? That's quite important. So if somebody wants to take it in-house, if we want to become that media company, that's what you got to do. And also, you got to have a framework to follow. That's the beauty of They Ask You Answer becoming endless customers now, is there's going to be a definitive framework that you can follow, that you're not reinventing the wheel with your strategies there. All right. It's like, what type of art you need to be producing. Now you got to go do it.
Right. Well said. I mean, that to me, as a business owner, I would want that. I would want that control. And I know that change is tough. I know that it's a big shift, but overall, to have that control, if you need to make an update to your website to be able to go one office over, one door down and be like, hey, Joe Schmo, can you fix this for me real quick, and have dedicated people? That's a game changer. It really is a game changer.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes a big difference.
So closing thoughts for people listening and watching out there. What's the key takeaway here? What's the one thing that business owners should really be thinking about here?
There are good agencies, but only if they want you to become informed and to learn along the way of the relationship with said agency. If they don't want you to learn, and if they want you to be locked out, and if you feel locked out, it's time to go.
Yeah.
And it's time to become empowered. That being said, when it comes to content production, when it comes to the future of the internet, when it comes to you being successful with things like AI, you have to think like a media company. You need to start becoming that media company. And you need to go through the pain and the pleasure of learning how to do these things in-house. It's going to be a rock in your shoe until you deal with this situation. If you've ever had a rock in your shoe before, you know, like you got to stop, you got to take the shoe off, you got to get it out. So this isn't going to go away. This need to become a media company is not going to go away. So you might as well start to address it right now.
Couldn't agree with you more. Marcus, great advice for everybody out there listening and watching. How can they get in touch with you if they want to ask you more questions, or maybe if they're stuck and they want to pick your brain about getting unstuck? What can they do?
You can go fishing with me in North Carolina.
Oh, I want to come.
Yeah. I do have a fishing company out there, a charter company called Speechless Sport Fishing. But if you're listening to this right now, find me on LinkedIn. It's a great place to find me. It's where I put some of my best content at as well. Mm-hmm. You can email me, marcus@marcussheridan.com, or you can just have me out to your company, to your event. I'd love to speak to you, to your team, to your audience. Let's see if we can change the world together.
I love it. Great conversation. Thank you for being on the show, Marcus.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right. And for everybody out there watching and listening, this is Endless Customers. I'm Alex Winter. See you in the next episode.